Hey guys, it's Jessica, and today we're going to talk about a bunch of products that may or may not be overhyped. We're going to find that out today. I have heard a lot about these products on YouTube, and so that's what I mean by they're like super hyped. But when I was looking into these, half of them I bought, half of them were sent to me in PR. As I was looking into them and making sure that, you know, I knew what I needed to know about them for this video, I realized that all of them are at least rated 4 stars with reviews on Sephora and Ulta's website. I checked on Sephora's, and then I think one of them, the Nars palette I'm going to show you, is only available on Ulta's now because it's like sold out everywhere else. We've got a Band-Aid situation, so just FYI. So I've already moisturized my face, put sunscreen on, etc. And the first thing we're going to try is something I've owned for a few weeks. I bought it quite a while ago, and I'm so excited to finally try it. It is the Kosas Tinted Face Oil. I'm excited to try it. So I was doing a ton of research on this, and basically what this is supposed to be is it's not a BB cream, it's not a tinted moisturizer, it's not technically a foundation. It really is a face oil that has, it says light to medium kind of coverage. It is buildable, it's supposed to be, and you're supposed to apply it with your fingers. So they were saying you can use a sponge if you want, but they really recommend using your fingers with it. So I'm shaking it really well. They said that it goes really well over a mineral SPF. I'm currently using the Paula's Choice Super Light Daily Wrinkle Defense, and so that is what has been on my skin. It's been sinking in for, well, probably like 20 minutes. So plenty of time for it to sink in. And so we're gonna try this. I am like nervous. I have to avoid the Band-Aid finger though. This is gonna be so tricky. Okay, it said just to do like 3 or 4 drops, so that's what I did. I'm so intrigued by this. I feel like I still have some on the sides of my fingers, so just kind of starting there. I don't like the smell, I can tell you that with certainty. Okay, I just turned my ring light off so you guys could really see it because I wasn't realizing it was really washed out. So I just applied it here, and I feel like that is so different than I expected. It wasn't like, it almost like dries down to like a satiny matte. Like it's not, I thought for sure it was gonna be like oily and greasy. So I'm gonna get a couple more drops and apply a little to my forehead, little to the chin. It's just so bizarre. But what's cool, it doesn't have a big shade range. And I was like, but I was reading the FAQ on their website, and okay. So I will say this right off the bat, if you miss an area, it is obvious. Like, I feel like it's caught my hair weird here. Do you know what I'm saying? So even though it's not a crazy high coverage product, it can definitely still look weird in certain areas if you're not careful. So like, I feel like I need to, yeah, kind of rub it away there. The coverage is nice. Like, again, it's definitely a lighter coverage where you can see your skin through it, but it definitely has more coverage than a lot of like tinted moisturizers that I typically have used in the past have. And it was just as easy to apply. I'm surprised that I like this. Not really, but I'm kind of surprised because I thought it would go on a little weird. It is sitting really weird right around here. It's kind of pilling up, and it did say that if it, you know, if you put it on something that typically pills up, it's gonna pill up under this as well. But why is it only in that region? Like, what do I have there that's different than anywhere else that it's getting so weird? I don't know, but the rest of my face, it looks really nice. So they have a smaller shade range, and I think the idea is that because you're seeing your skin through it, it's a little bit more forgiving, so you can stretch their shades into like 4 or 5 shades. Does that make sense? So I don't know how true that is, but I will say it definitely looked a little yellow. Like, let me show you a little, looks like kind of yellowish orange, and I have the lightest one, but it ended up obviously blending in really, really nicely with my skin tone. So it said you can build this up. I'm curious about that. So I'm just gonna get a little bit. It's hard to just get a little bit. I feel like it just, ooh, that's a lot. Let's see how much coverage we can get here though. All right, so this has that second layer on it. This one doesn't. I mean, I don't think it's more coverage. I feel like it's very, very slight. So I'm gonna go ahead and make it even just, but I don't think it's enough that you really need to go in with the second layer. If you have skin like mine, you don't feel like you have a lot to cover. If you feel like you have a lot to cover, this isn't gonna be the foundation-ish product for you. It's just not, because obviously that's not what this is about. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's talk pros and cons here. The smell, I don't like. It smells like moldy plastic. Is that even a thing? I can't explain it, but I do not like this smell. The packaging is a little annoying. However, I think the packaging kind of has to be the way it is, you know, kind of a squirty tube to protect what's inside. So if you have sensitive skin, instead of using essential oils in this, it uses botanical extracts, which I guess is a little bit easier on your skin. So that's really cool. I mean, that's one of those things that I don't have super sensitive skin, so I feel like that's something I don't think about a bunch. So I'm excited to try this more. I really like it. This is gonna be like a quick go-to, like forever and ever. This is expensive, I know, you guys, but I'm telling you, this stuff is nothing like what you think it is. I cannot believe how my skin doesn't feel crazy oily. Oh my gosh, I'm really excited about this. So the concealer that I think is very, very hyped right now is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Self-Setting Concealer. Wow, so it has 4 stars on Sephora's website. However, as I started reading through the reviews, and there are a lot, the negative reviews I was reading were exactly my feelings on this. I've used this a couple of times and I wanted to use it on camera, and this was kind of the perfect video to fit it into. I don't think I like this, and I can't believe I'm saying that, but the idea is amazing that it's not super drying, but it doesn't need to be set with the powder. So I'm just gonna tap, I have the shade number 11. I'm gonna tap a little there and a little there. That's how I've been kind of applying it. You can use your finger, you can use a brush. Today I'm gonna use a brush, and I just feel like it doesn't cover as much as I feel like it should. And I don't even feel like I need a ton of coverage, but even still, I feel like it never looks like good. And it's so crazy because I think this is gonna be one of those concealers that you either absolutely love it or you're like, why does everyone like this? This is awful on me. And that's kind of, as I was reading the reviews, exactly what was happening. Either people raved about it and they were like, oh my gosh, I never need to set it. This is the answer to my prayers. Or they were like, this stuff is awful. It doesn't stay in place. It doesn't cover the way I need it to. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I kind of fall in the latter group there where I'm not sure that I like this. Let me zoom you in so you can really see what's going on here. Obviously, it's got crazy high coverage. I think I could go up a shade. I think it's a little light for me, but that's fine. But all of that aside, I feel like right away, it's accentuating what I've got going on here. And honestly, like none of the concealers I use do that right off the bat. It's very odd. Like this is what I would see after like 6 hours of wearing it with powder on top of it. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like it still sinks into my fine lines, but it does eventually stop. So I would agree with that, like, you don't have to continually touch it to be able to get everything kind of blended back in. It doesn't really need to be set, but I usually have to take about a minute of tapping it in every, 10 seconds, and then it's done. So I do agree that it's slightly self-setting. I just don't think it's very flattering on the under eye. I can't explain it other than that. And I don't know if it's because of the shade I chose. Like maybe if I did go one up, I wouldn't feel this way, but I just don't feel like it covers as much. Now I will say this is awful with a sponge. I tried this with the sponge a few times and it blends the entire thing away. The sponge really does soak the whole thing up. And I use sponges a lot with concealer, but this is awful with the sponge. So I don't think this is terrible. And I think there are people that are going to love this. I don't really know who is gonna love this though, because I really thought I would. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel like when I use powder, I can't really use too much or else I look like I'm 20 years older than I really am. If you saw me in person, you know what I mean. I know a lot of you guys are like, yes, that's how I feel. Well, me too. And so I thought this would be the answer to my prayers. It sunk into my fine lines again over here, so I'm just kind of tapping it back in. But do you see what I mean by I feel like it accentuates the bags under my eyes, and most of my concealers don't do that. So it's very, very odd. So then I found myself every once in a while setting it just to kind of even that area out. And so it does that, but then again, it's just adding even more to the weird texture that this is kind of giving my under eye. So if you love that concealer, like if you've tried it and you're like, oh my gosh, I love it. What is it that are you doing anything differently than me? I've tried it with my finger and it's okay with my finger. Like I said, definitely not with the sponge. I like it best with the brush, and the brush, my favorite concealer brush ever is this Sephora Pro number 56. It's slightly expensive, but you guys, I'm telling you, this will change the way you apply concealer forever. I use this every single day. For months and months, I've been using it every single day. So that's that. I'm gonna leave it be, but I'm not a huge fan of it. So the next 4-star hyped product is the Urban Decay Brow Blade. They did send these to me in PR, And so I was reading up about this because I was like, what is this? You know what I mean? Like, I hadn't really seen anyone using it, even though I keep seeing it in thumbnails here and there. But it's a waterproof pencil on one side, and it's like an inky stain on the other. So I was reading how to use this, and Urban Decay says that you should use the pencil first all throughout your brow, kind of carve out the shape you want, kind of fill it in, the sparse areas, then go with the ink stain. And they were saying that that's gonna help the ink stain not change color on you. And I was like, so I'm very intrigued by all of this. I'm like, so we're just gonna see how it goes. Like I said, I'm using the shade Dark Drapes. So it's kind of filled in about the way I want it. It's a little dark. I might, before I go in with the other side, kind of brush through this a bit because it's a little bit darker than I usually go, and I'm about to add more, you know, kind of color to it. Supposedly the inky stain side is great for making it look more like real hair, so you can kind of get those brush-like strokes with it. So we're gonna see. It really is like a really thin kind of tip. This is interesting. Like, it's actually working. Again, I really had no faith in this. I don't know why, but I was like, that's not gonna work. I had no faith, zero faith, and I'm pleasantly surprised. Let's see what the finished product looks like. Here's what I'm gonna say. I feel like it looks pretty good. It's darker than I usually go. I'm gonna let this dry, and I might try to comb through it a bit and just see. But I wanna show you that I feel like it can look very realistic from afar, like the brush hairs, but if you get really close, you can really tell. You see what I'm saying? I still don't think it looks bad, but I think it's gonna take a little practice for me, and I just feel like it's kind of, I don't know, just looks faux. But the reality is, when you're coloring in your brows, it usually still looks a little bit fake. So let's see if kind of brushing through helps a little bit. So I think it helped a little bit, but I think that now those little brush hairs aren't quite as obvious. And so then it was like, well, then did I even really need to do that step? You know what I mean? And I guess I could go back in and do it again, but I'm like, well, again, that's taking more time than what I want to. The idea is that this is supposed to look kind of natural. So I actually think I like it. I just want to get more practice at it. I like the idea of it now that I've actually done it and seen what it can look like. I do think it looks good. Brushing through definitely helped. So verdict is still out, but I am enjoying, and I know they have a decent shade range for brows, which is rare. I feel like a lot of brands have like 4 brow colors and that's it. And they're like, hope you match one. But this one had a little bit more. I was pretty surprised. So the other one I thought might work was Brown Sugar, but the pencil side pulled very, very warm, very red. So keep that in mind. If you're near me, you might want to go for, what did I have? Dark Drapes. So next up is this Nars palette. It's their Skin Deep palette. I couldn't find info, but I don't think it's limited edition. However, I know that Sephora no longer sells this. Like literally when I searched it, I found it on Google, clicked it, it was the Sephora link, and it went to this product is no longer available. Like, it didn't just say out of stock, it just said it wasn't available. So I don't know what the deal is there. It's still listed on Nars' website, but it's out of stock. But it is in stock, at least at the time I'm filming this, on Ulta's website. We'll see. So at first when I opened this, I thought it was like, oh, those are like face powders, but no, they're actually it's all an eye palette. I'm using the Ulta Beauty Matte Eye Primer in Nude. So this is an expensive palette. $60. This was sent to me in PR. However, this is one I could have seen myself actually buying on my own, because I remember when it launched, before I got it in the mail, I was looking at it and I was like, ooh, like it's so up my alley, so neutral. So it was kind of one of those things that I was like, I might buy that, and then I got it in the mail. So it was a happy coincidence. Is that really a coincidence? You know what I mean? So I'm going to use this kind of yellow shade. It might be a little yellow for my skin, but just to kind of set the primer up there. Yeah, it's definitely got a little bit of a yellow tint to it. It's pretty though. So I was reading about their shadow formula, because I do think their shadow formula has changed. I know that Nars, I think they like were bought out by someone, and so some things changed when that happened. Were they bought out, or like someone else took over, something like that. And I know a lot of their products kind of changed, and eyeshadow was one of the ones that I really noticed it in. And at first I was like, oh, it changed for the worse. Like those single Nars shadows, the new ones, I didn't find any. I was swatching them like, these are awful. But I was reading about their shadow formula, particularly for this palette, and they were saying that it really is a thinner formula. And the idea is that it's very velvety soft. And you know what? That is very velvety soft. I can't even deny that. This feels closer to what their old formula was versus those single ones I tried like a year ago they sent. I was like, ooh, I didn't like them. But this is really, really soft. It's just like gliding right over the skin. I like this color. It's this third one in here. It's kind of a rosy, bronzy, I don't even know what to call this. It's pretty though. Again, this could be a single shadow look for me where I just like kind of blend it into the crease like this and then move on. But I'm gonna add some more shadow just to keep testing these out. But I love, 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 love shadows like that. So I'm gonna grab one of the mattes up here. I'm gonna grab this kind of cooler toned brown. I'm gonna mix some, I guess it's not super cool. Well, no. I feel like cool tones when you're mixing it with like kind of a warmer tone like what I have on the lid kind of blends with it so well that it almost looks warm tone. Y'all see that? But it looks good with this color. I'm gonna take that same shade and kind of glide it along. I just really liked that for me. That blended like a dream. I'm gonna take that same shade and throw it on my lower lash line a bit. This formula is really nice. It's so much better than those singles. But again, this is such an expensive palette. It's like, is it that many leaps and bounds above stuff that's affordable out there? It is really nice. So I'm gonna grab this kind of deeper shade in this corner and put it a little bit in the outer corner there. That has got some pigment to it. Nice. Again, this is blending really easily. This is always, the outer corner, darker colors is always my true test for how something blends, because if I can't get it to stick to that area and blend, that's kind of my, I'm like, that's where a lot of shadows take a hit, where they're like, they either don't stick to the area well or they just don't blend out, and that blended out so easily. But again, that's got some serious pigment to it, so it's something to keep in mind. I mean, that just like totally transformed this look into a much vampier, I like it still, but a much vampier look than I anticipated. I'm gonna take that with my finger and kind of tap it in that middle area between the darker color and the original lid color. I'm just gonna tap it all the way in. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. Okay, this one might be worthy of the hype it has gotten, and it might be worthy of the fact that it's sold out in so many places. I am just digging this. And again, I feel like that banana shade, if I were to place it under my brow bone, I don't think it's quite light enough for me. I guess it kind of works, but again, it's just kind of yellowy, so it'd work well for a lot of skin tones, just not mine. Okay, this one might be worth the hype. So I just curled my lashes, and today we're gonna finally try the Milk Makeup Kush mascara. Holy moly, this stuff was crazy hype. So the claims are insane that this is like crazy volume. It still separates, it curls like it. Supposedly this is the mascara. You know what I mean? Like that is what I have heard about this stuff. The packaging is really heavy, which is just kind of interesting. But we're gonna give this a try. It's got the kind of a brush I like that's more natural bristled. I've already separated my lashes, curled them, so let's try this. So one coat, it's just kind of, so far, standard to me. Let's just see though, because sometimes mascaras shine with their second and third coats. Looks pretty good. It's definitely looking better already, so I could see that this could be just one of those mascaras that you layer it and that's where the magic is. It's doing a good job keeping them separated enough where they're not getting crazy clumpy. I'm gonna go to the other side and then come back to do another coat, because that's usually what I do with pretty much every mascara. So we're done with those initial few coats. Most people would stop there. I don't. And the other thing is, because I like this. This is volume that I like. This is the kind of volume I like. The other thing to keep in mind is that this could be one of those mascaras that after it's dried out, now that it's open, after it's dried out for like a week or two is when it's like the best. I don't know that that's true. I haven't heard this about this, but I feel like that's true for a lot of mascaras. When you first get it, it's almost too wet, but after like a week or two, it's like flawless for like 2 months, and then of course it starts to dry out. But it definitely has the volume. I don't feel like this so far is any more volumized or curled or anything than what I get from my L'Oreal Lash Paradise. That's my favorite. That's my favorite mascara, so it's hard for me to find one that beats that. It's so hard. But this is really, I mean, This looks like when I do my Lash Paradise, but then it's like, well, then why spend the money if you guys know what I'm saying? So the last one we're gonna talk about is this Clinique Cheek Pop. So this has been out for forever, but I've never tried it. It's actually been sitting in my drawer for quite a long time. The packaging is adorable, but I finally wanted to try it. I mean, this is like a true flower. That looks like a real flower. Like if you look really closely at the details, it's crazy. But I wanted to try this. Let me powder at least my cheeks so that it doesn't stick to anything there. I'm just using the Maybelline Fit Me loose powder, my favorite loose powder. Using my favorite blush brush from IT Cosmetics. I don't know the name, but I'll link it below. So these are very highly rated, that people are saying like, oh, they're so, you know, other than obviously the packaging is cute, they're saying they stay on so well throughout the day, and that's a big part of it. So this shade, by the way, is Peach Pop. It looks kind of peachy, but it's very poppy. Again, as we're heading into spring, it's kind of exciting to try products like this, in my opinion. I think they're really pretty and fun. I like it, but here's the deal. As I always say, if you don't need to spend the money, you don't need to. And I think this is beautiful. If it's like a free gift, or you just love Clinique, or you have a gift card, whatever, or you just want to treat yourself, go for it. But I don't think this is any different or better than like the Milani Flower blushes, the Flower Beauty blushes, the, oh my gosh, I have so many favorites in the drugstore, it's crazy. I just did a video of my favorite blushes, and they're all under $10. I will link that because there are so many that are so exactly like that, if not better, that you don't need to spend the money. But I do like this, so it's not that it's bad, it's just you can get the same thing at the drugstore. So I like it though. Okay, so showing everything up close. Like I said, the blush is pretty, but you can get that at the drugstore. I feel like the tinted oil still looks good. Like this is the area, I didn't powder this. Obviously I powdered my cheeks. It still looks healthy and nice, but you can definitely see my skin through it. You can definitely see like little bits of texture, but not in a bad way. Like that's my skin, and I don't always want to necessarily hide that. And so I don't think it looks bad. And again, for those lighter days, this is gonna be, I'm gonna use this all the time. I can tell you that right now, I'm going to use this all the time because it's so quick and easy, especially as I get better at how much I need to use and get better at applying it. But I actually like the way this looks. The eyebrow pencil, I think I actually really like it. I like the final look. I know it's not gonna budge anywhere, like that's not gonna move. I really like the mascara as well, but again, you can find the same thing for cheap. I'm really a fan of this eyeshadow palette, you guys. And then the concealer, I think I shared my thoughts. I don't think it's anything special. So I finished the rest of my face. I figure we can do a wear test today to really see how all of this wears when it comes to the eyeshadow, especially the concealer and the foundation. Well, really all of it. The brows too. I'm curious about how that stays. So, and the blush. Okay, Jess, we get it. All of the makeup. We're gonna see how all of the makeup works. That's how this works. Anyway, I'll check back in just a little bit. All right, so I've had this on my face for probably 3 hours now. I feel like the eyeshadow still looks really nice. The lip product's starting to wear off. It was the Physicians Formula, the Healthy Lip. I really like that product, but I've like we ate soup and grilled cheese and like, yeah, it's starting to wear off. But this concealer, I don't know, you guys. Again, I don't think it's not settled a crazy amount, but it just doesn't look great in my opinion. This lighting I feel like is kind of forgiving because it's just daylight, and sometimes that can like look nice in the weirdest ways. Brows have not like budged at all. These suckers are not going anywhere. The blush still looks really, really nice. The highlight I'm wearing is a Pixie one, by the way. I can link below. I really like it, but it's like definitely like a in your face kind of one. What else did we try? I feel like the foundation looks really nice. Again, you can definitely see my natural oils breaking through. I love that. I feel like a broken record when I do check-ins because it's always the same things, but it's kind of one of those things though, you know your own face and how makeup typically wears on you, so you're always kind of looking for the same things. But across the board, everything is pretty much staying the same as it was before. So I'll check in at the end of the day before I wipe everything off, wash everything off to see how everything's looking then. Okie dokie, so check-in time. I'm just about to go upstairs and wash my makeup off. First things first, I just wiped away and then I was like, why did I do that? I wanted to show it to you guys. I had a ton of fallout from that mascara, the Kush mascara. So I'm obviously gonna try it a bunch more times because I don't want to waste that entire mascara, but I definitely noticed it. So I'll have to, again, update you in a future update video about that. I feel like the mascara faded a little bit, especially like the shimmer I had on the lid, but not so much that it's obvious. It's only obvious to me because I know exactly what it looked like when I put it on. You know what I mean? The blush stayed on pretty darn well. We did go on a really long walk outside, and so I feel like with the wind and everything, it can tend to wipe some stuff away, so I don't think it's as perfect, but it's definitely still there. The brows did not budge. I'm excited to use that brow product some more. That's one that's like really standing out to me. This like tinted oil foundation actually looks really nice. Usually I look way more textured up here, but it doesn't look nearly as bad. I mean, it looks almost the same as when I put it on. The only thing is a little bit of oil broke through, but it didn't break the actual pigment apart. So I feel like it still looks really even, which is really exciting. So again, the concealer, I still feel like even more of my darkness is kind of shown through a little bit. Like I said, you guys know my feelings. I haven't really changed them. It's performing the way I remembered it performing the other times I've used it. So those are my thoughts on this makeup as I've worn it throughout the day. It's now probably been on about, let's see, when did I put it on? It's probably been on about 10 and a half hours. So it's been on for a while. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you'll come say hi to me on social media. It's GMBeauty89 everywhere. It's my original screen name. I was gonna change it and I was like, no, that's like my original, like I can't change it. So it's gonna stick, it's gonna be GMBeauty89 probably forever. And other than that, I'll catch you guys in my next one. Bye.